The verdict, the council chamber was silent, too silent. Ambassador Chen stood alone on the circular platform. Above her, 20 massive screens displayed 20 alien faces. Each one watched her with different eyes. Some had scales, some had fur, some glowed with inner light. But all of them looked at her the same way, like she was a problem they needed to solve. "The vote is complete," announced Arch-Councillor Vax. His voice echoed through the enormous hall. The reptilian leader's silver scales caught the light as he moved. "All members have cast their decision." Chen felt her heart beating faster. She kept her face calm, empty. She had practiced this moment 100 times. The giant voting board lit up behind Vax. 20 lights, one for each species in the Galactic Council. Red, 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 red. Every single light turned red. "The verdict is unanimous," Vax continued. His long tongue flicked out nervously. "Humanity is hereby exiled from galactic space. You have 30 days to remove all human presence from Council territory." The other ambassadors in the viewing gallery began whispering. Some sounded relieved, others sounded pleased. A few even laughed quietly. Chen stood perfectly still. She didn't cry, didn't shout, didn't beg. She just listened. "The crimes are clear," said Councillor Thren, a being made of floating crystals. Her voice chimed like broken glass. "Humanity has violated 17 preservation laws. You explored forbidden zones. You asked questions about the precursors. You reverse-engineered ancient technology. You refused to stop," added Councillor Morgath, who looked like a living shadow. "We warned you. We asked nicely. You ignored us." "Your species is too curious," Vax said, his eyes narrowing. "Too aggressive. Too dangerous. You've only been in council space for 50 years, but you've caused more problems than species who've been here for thousands." Chen finally spoke. Her voice was steady, quiet. "We understand." The chamber went silent again. Vax leaned forward. "You understand?" "Yes," Chen said simply. "You've made your decision. We accept it." That wasn't the response they expected. Councillor Mareth, a being of pure energy, flickered with confusion. "You're not going to argue? Protest? Demand a recount?" "No," Chen said. A small smile touched her lips. "Just for a second. You voted. We respect the democratic process." The smile disappeared, but several council members had seen it. 30 days, Vax repeated, trying to regain control. He sounded less certain now. "All human stations, ships and colonies must evacuate council space. If you remain after the deadline, we will use force." "Understood," Chen said. She gave a small bow. "Earth thanks the council for their time and consideration." She turned to leave. "Wait," Vax called out. There was something in his voice. Uncertainty, maybe even fear. "That's it? You're just leaving?" Chen looked back over her shoulder. "You voted to exile us. Why would we stay where we're not wanted?" "But," Councillor Thren's crystals dimmed, "your economy depends on council trade routes. Your colonies need our protection networks. Your people will be isolated, alone in the dark." "Perhaps," Chen said. That smile flickered again. "Or perhaps we'll be free." She walked toward the exit. Her footsteps echoed in the massive chamber. "Ambassador Chen," Vax said, standing up from his throne. "Why aren't you afraid?" Chen stopped at the doorway. She didn't turn around this time. "Who said we're not afraid?" She replied quietly. "Fear can be useful, Arch-Councillor. It teaches you to prepare." Then she walked out. The heavy doors closed behind her with a boom that shook the walls. In the council chamber, 20 alien leaders sat in confused silence. "That was too easy," Morgath whispered. "Humans don't accept defeat that calmly." "Maybe they've finally learned their place," Thren suggested, but she didn't sound convinced. Vax stared at the door where Chen had disappeared. His scales rippled with unease. In his 300 years on the council, he'd seen many species exiled. They all reacted the same way. Anger, tears, desperate bargaining, never acceptance, never that smile. What did she mean? Councillor Mirith asked. About being prepared? No one answered. Vax replayed Chen's last words in his mind. Fear teaches you to prepare. His stomach twisted into knots. Contact our intelligence network, he ordered suddenly. I want to know what humanity has been doing for the last 10 years. Every ship they've built, every station they've constructed, everything. Is that necessary? Thran asked. They're just one small species. They'll be gone in 30 days. That's what worries me, Vax said quietly. He couldn't shake the image of that smile. They knew this was coming. I'm certain of it. Impossible, Morgoth scoffed. The vote was secret until today. Then why wasn't she surprised? Vax demanded. Why was she ready? The council chamber fell silent once more. Far below, in the diplomatic transport bay, Ambassador Chen entered her ship. The door sealed behind her. The moment it did, she dropped the calm mask. Her smile grew wider. They actually did it, she said into her communicator. The idiots actually exiled us, a voice crackled back. Admiral Torres, all ships? Yes, Chen confirmed. We have 30 days. We won't need 30, Torres replied. We've been ready for 6 months. Project Exodus is complete. Chen sat down in her pilot's chair. Through the window, she could see the massive council station shrinking behind her. They think we're weak, she said softly. They think we'll disappear quietly into the dark. Let them think that, Torres said. For 30 more days. Chen punched coordinates into her navigation system. Not toward Earth, toward a secret location that the council didn't know existed. Activate all teams, she ordered. It's time to show them what humanity does when you exile us. With pleasure, Torres said. See you at the rally point, Ambassador. The communication ended. Chen's ship jumped to hyperspace, leaving council space behind. Behind her, in the council chamber, Vax was still staring at the door, still wondering about that smile, still feeling, deep in his ancient bones, that humanity had just won something and the council had just lost. Humanity's secret 6 months earlier, Earth. Deep beneath the surface of Luna, in a facility that didn't exist on any official map, Admiral Sarah Torres stood in front of a massive window. Beyond the glass, thousands of people worked in organized chaos. They were building something. Something big? Project Exodus status? Torres asked without turning around. Commander Jacob Wells appeared beside her, holding a data tablet. His face looked tired. They'd all been working 20-hour days for months. 87% complete, Wells reported. The last of the heavy weapon systems arrive next week. Hull construction is ahead of schedule. Torres nodded slowly. Through the window she could see them. Ships. Dozens of ships. They didn't look like military vessels. They looked like cargo haulers. Mining ships. Colony transports. That was the point. The council suspects nothing. Torres asked. Nothing, Wells confirmed. Our diplomats keep them busy with trade negotiations and cultural exchanges. They think we're happy little members of their galactic family. Torres smiled bitterly. While we prepare for divorce. She turned away from the window and walked toward the central command table. A holographic display flickered to life, showing a map of council space. Red zones marked forbidden areas. Yellow zones marked restricted sectors. Green zones showed where humanity was allowed to go. There wasn't much green. Tell me again how we knew, Wells said quietly. How did intelligence figure out they'd exile us? Torres pulled up another display. This one showed historical data. Hundreds of alien species. Most of them had names crossed out. Pattern recognition, Torres explained. We studied council history. Every species that innovated too fast disappeared. Every civilization that asked too many questions about the precursors got exiled or destroyed. She pointed at the crossed-out names. The Kelthans, exiled 400 years ago for building unauthorized AI. The Vixari, exiled 2 centuries ago for exploring forbidden zones. The Tarthans, they just vanished after asking about ancient weapon systems. 17 species in total, Wells whispered. All gone. The council doesn't want partners, Torres said. They want servants. Obedient children who follow the old rules and never ask why. She zoomed the display in on Earth. But humanity doesn't work that way. We're too curious, too stubborn, too willing to break rules that don't make sense. So they'll vote to exile us, Wells finished. They already have, Torres said. The vote happened 2 weeks ago in a secret session. Ambassador Chen has a spy in Vax's office. The official announcement comes in 6 months. Wells looked shocked. 2 weeks ago. Then why are we still pretending? Because we need time, Torres said simply. Time to finish the ships. Time to move resources. Time to prepare for what comes next. She walked back to the window. Below, a massive vessel was being fitted with weapon systems, plasma cannons disguised as mining lasers, missile tubes hidden inside cargo bays, shield generators that could stop a small moon. The Council thinks we're dependent on them, Torres continued. They think we need their trade routes, their protection, their technology. They're wrong. She pulled up another file. This one made Wells gasp. It showed a star map, but not of Council space. It showed the Forbidden Zone, the region of space that the Council had banned 10,000 years ago. The place where the precursors, the ancient civilization, had built their empire and then mysteriously vanished. No one was allowed to go there. The punishment was immediate exile or death. You didn't, Wells breathed. We did, Torres confirmed. 5 years ago we sent unmanned probes into the Forbidden Zone. Just a few, small ones. The Council never noticed. The display changed. It showed images from those probes, massive structures floating in dark space, ancient stations the size of moons, derelict ships that dwarfed anything the Council had ever built, and factories. Automated factories that still hummed with power after 10,000 years. The precursors left everything behind, Torres said, her voice filled with wonder. Their technology, their knowledge, their weapons. It's all just sitting there waiting. Why? Wells asked. Why would they abandon it? We don't know yet, Torres admitted. But we're going to find out. After the exile, that's where we're going. To the Forbidden Zone. Wells stared at the images. The Council will consider that an act of war. The Council is exiling us, Torres shot back. Once we're exiled, their rules don't apply to us anymore. We'll be outside their jurisdiction. She closed the display and faced Wells directly. Here's what's going to happen. The Council announces the exile. We act surprised and hurt. We have 30 days to evacuate. During those 30 days, we move every human ship, station, and colony out of Council space. And then, Wells asked. And then we disappear into the Forbidden Zone, Torres said. We activate the precursor technology. We learn their secrets. We build weapons and ships that make the Council look primitive. Wells was quiet for a long moment. Then he asked the question that mattered most. Why? Why not just leave peacefully? Find empty space far away and build our own civilization? Torres looked out the window again, at the disguised warships, at the thousands of people working to save their species. Because it's not just about us, she said softly. The Council has been exiling species for thousands of years. How many civilizations have they destroyed? How many peoples have they erased just for being too curious or too innovative? She clenched her fists. Someone has to stop them. Someone has to show the galaxy that the Council doesn't get to decide who survives and who doesn't. And that someone is us? Wells asked. Yes, Torres said firmly. We're humanity. We climbed out of caves and reached the stars. We survived ice ages, plagues, and world wars. We don't quit. We don't surrender. And we sure as hell don't let bullies tell us where we can and can't go. Wells smiled for the first time in days. The Council has no idea what's coming. No, Torres agreed. They think we're weak, dependent, afraid. They're about to learn how wrong they are. She activated her communicator. All section chiefs, this is Admiral Torres. Increase production schedule. We're moving the timeline up. Voices responded from all over the facility. Yes, Admiral. Torres cut the connection and turned back to the window. Below, the work continued. Faster now. More urgent. 6 months, she said quietly. In 6 months, the Council announces our exile. In 6 months and 30 days, we'll be gone from Council space. And then? Wells asked. Torres's smile was cold and determined. And then we show them what happens when you exile humanity. We don't run away and hide. We evolve. We adapt. We become stronger. She pointed at the holographic display, still showing the Forbidden Zone. The precursors were the most powerful civilization the galaxy ever knew. The Council feared them so much they banned their entire territory for 10,000 years. Now that power belongs to us, Torres finished, and we're going to use it to make sure no species ever gets exiled again. Wells stood at attention. What are your orders, Admiral? Torres looked at him with fire in her eyes. Finish the ships. Prepare the crews. Move the civilians. In 6 months, when the Council votes to exile us, I want to see the look on their faces when they realize we were already leaving, and we're taking the Precursor's legacy with us, Wells added. Exactly, Torres said. The Council wanted to exile Earth. They're about to create their worst nightmare. She walked toward the exit, her boots echoing on the metal floor. Let's get to work, Commander. Humanity has an appointment with destiny. And an appointment with the Forbidden Zone, Wells said. Torres smiled. Same thing. The door closed behind them. In the facility below, the work continued. Ship after ship, weapon after weapon, humanity preparing for exile. Humanity preparing for war. Humanity preparing to become something the galaxy had never seen before. The Council thought they were removing a problem. They were creating a revolution. The departure day 30 arrived like a storm. Across Council space, human colonies began their evacuation. Ships powered up simultaneously. Station lights flickered on in perfect coordination. It was like watching a machine activate all at once. The Council had sent monitors to watch. To make sure humanity left peacefully, they expected chaos. Crying families, desperate refugees scrambling to pack their lives into cargo containers. They got something very different. Monitor Vex 7 floated outside human station Proxima. His species didn't need ships. They lived in space naturally. But even he felt uneasy watching the humans work. This is wrong, he transmitted to his partner. What do you mean? Monitor Shelley's responded. She was aboard a Council observer ship near Mars. Look at them, Vex 7 said. They're not panicking. They're not rushing. It's like they've done this 1,000 times before. On his sensors, he watched human ships docking at the station. Crews moved with military precision. Every container was labeled. Every ship knew exactly where to go. There were no arguments, no confusion, no fear. Shelley's, run a scan on those transport vessels, Vex 7 ordered. There was a pause. Then Shellis's voice came back, sharp with alarm.
Vex,
these aren't civilian transports. What? The hull thickness is wrong. Way too thick. And these energy signatures... Vex, these are warships. Vex 7 zoomed his vision closer. The ships looked normal from the outside. Boxy cargo haulers. Simple colony vessels, mining ships with huge drills attached. But now that he looked closer, he could see it. The way they moved was too smooth, too controlled. The power cores were too large. The hull plating was military grade. They disguised military vessels as civilian ships, Vex 7 whispered. How long have they been building these? I don't know, Shelley said. But there are hundreds of them, maybe thousands. Vex 7 immediately opened a channel to Council Command. This is Monitor Vex 7. We have a situation. The human evacuation fleet consists of military-grade vessels. I repeat, these are warships, not transports. The response came from Arch-Counselor Vax himself. His voice was tight with anger. Confirmed. We're seeing the same thing across all human territories. What have they been building? Before Vex 7 could answer, every human station in Council space activated something new. Shields. Not normal shields. These were different. Vex 7's senses suddenly went blind. His vision clouded with static. His ability to read energy signatures vanished. I can't see anything. Shelley shouted over the comm. Their shields are blocking all our scanners. Impossible, Vax growled. Our sensor technology can penetrate any known shield system. Apparently not this one, Vex 7 said, struggling to clear his vision. Sir, whatever they've developed, it's beyond our technology. On human station Proxima, Admiral Torres stood on the command deck, watching her monitors. She could see the Council observers trying desperately to scan her ships, and failing. Precursor shield technology, Commander Wells said beside her, grinning. Works like a charm. It should, Torres replied. It's 10,000 years more advanced than anything the Council has. She activated the station-wide comm. All ships begin final departure sequence. Across the station, engines hummed to life. Not the normal fusion drives that Council ships used. These were different, quieter, more powerful, reverse-engineered from precursor technology. Outside, Vex 7 watched in growing horror as the human fleet assembled. Hundreds of ships moving into formation. Perfect formation. Like a military fleet preparing for battle. They're not running away, he transmitted. Vax, they're organizing for war. Negative. Vax responded, but he sounded uncertain. They're just leaving. They have to leave. Then why are they in attack formation? Vex 7 demanded. On the bridge of her flagship, Admiral Torres smiled. The ship didn't have a name yet. She was saving that for later. For when they reached their destination. All human vessels, this is Admiral Torres. She broadcast on an encrypted channel. Sound off by sector. Mars sector ready. 47 ships. Proxima sector ready. 83 ships. Alpha Centauri sector ready. 112 ships. Europa sector ready. 64 ships. The reports kept coming. Every human colony. Every station. Every outpost all ready. All armed. All waiting. Total count? Torres asked. Wells checked his display. 3,417 vessels, Admiral. Every single human ship in Council space. Torres felt a surge of pride. 3,000 ships. All built in secret. All disguised as civilian vessels. All equipped with technology the Council didn't know existed. Open a channel to the Council monitors, she ordered. Channel open, Wells confirmed. Torres spoke clearly. This is Admiral Sarah Torres of the Human Evacuation Fleet. We are beginning our departure from Council space as ordered. We will be gone within the hour. Vax's voice crackled back immediately. Admiral Torres, your fleet composition violates Council military regulations. You were not authorized to build warships. We're being exiled, Arch-Counselor, Torres replied calmly. Your regulations no longer apply to us. Or did you forget? We're not Council members anymore. Silence, Torres continued. Besides, you wanted us gone. We're leaving. Does it really matter what kind of ships we use? Where are you going? Vax demanded. You must file a destination with Council navigation. Must we? Torres asked. Again, Arch-Counselor, we're exiled. We don't answer to you anymore. She could hear the rage in Vax's voice when he responded. If you enter forbidden space, it will be considered an act of war. Torres smiled. We're already at war, Vax. You started it when you voted to exile us. That's not... Vax began. Goodbye, Arch-Counselor. Torres interrupted. Humanity thanks the Council for everything you've taught us, especially the lesson about power, about who makes the rules. She cut the connection. All ships, she broadcast to the human fleet. Activate jump drives on my mark. Destination Rally Point Omega. Outside the stations, the human ships began to glow. Their engines built up power, but the energy readings were impossible, far beyond what fusion drives could produce. Vex 7 watched in disbelief. What kind of drives are those? Unknown, Shellis responded. The energy output it's off the scale. Vec, they shouldn't be able to move that fast. All ships, Torres said. Mark. 3,000 human vessels jumped to hyperspace simultaneously, but they didn't move the way Council ships moved. Council ships took several seconds to enter hyperspace. The jump was visible, traceable. The human ships simply vanished. One moment they were there, the next moment gone. No flash of light, no hyperspace ripple, no trace. Where did they go? Vax shouted over the emergency Council channel. Unknown, sir, Vex 7 reported. They jumped, but our tracking systems couldn't follow them. It's like they disappeared completely. That's impossible, Vax roared. No jump drive is that clean. There's always a signature, always a trail. Not with these drives, Monitor Shellis said quietly. Sir, I think they're using precursor technology. The Council channel went silent. Finally, Councillor Morgath spoke. They went to the Forbidden Zone. We don't know that, Vax said, but his voice was weak. Where else would they go? Morgath demanded. Where else could they get that technology? They've been exploring the precursor ruins. That's why they asked so many questions. That's why they violated the preservation laws. They were preparing for this, Councillor Thran added, her crystal form pulsing with fear. For years, while we debated whether to exile them, they were already getting ready to leave. And they were stealing precursor technology, Mireth said, flickering with anger. They broke the most sacred law. They entered the Forbidden Zone. Vax slumped in his throne. Around him, the Council chamber felt smaller, darker. Send scouts to the border of the Forbidden Zone, he ordered quietly. I want to know if they're there. And if they are? Thran asked. Vax didn't answer. Far away, in a region of space the Council had banned for 10,000 years, 3,000 human ships emerged from hyperspace. Admiral Torres stood on her bridge looking at the view screen. Ahead of them floated massive structures, ancient stations that dwarfed planets, derelict ships the size of moons. And factories, thousands of automated factories, still glowing with power after millennia. The precursor ruins. We made it, Wells whispered beside her. No, Torres corrected. We arrived. Now the real work begins. She opened a channel to the fleet. All ships, this is Admiral Torres. Welcome to humanity's new home. Welcome to the Forbidden Zone. As of this moment, we are no longer bound by Council law. We are no longer limited by Council technology. We are free to learn, free to explore, free to build. She paused, looking at the ancient wonders surrounding them. The precursors left us a gift. Knowledge, power, technology beyond imagination. We're going to use it. We're going to grow stronger. And when we're ready, Torres's voice became steel. When we're ready, we're going back. Not as exiles, not as refugees, as equals. And we're going to make sure the Council never exiles another species again. 3,000 ships hung in the darkness, surrounded by the legacy of the most powerful civilization the galaxy had ever known. And humanity was about to claim that legacy as their own. In the Council chamber, Vax received the scout report. They're there, sir, in the Forbidden Zone, all 3,000 ships. Vax closed his eyes. What have we done? No one answered, because they all knew. They hadn't exiled humanity. The Forbidden Zone. The human fleet floated in darkness, surrounded by ghosts. Admiral Torres stood at the bridge window staring at the structures outside. They were impossible. Ancient metal that still gleamed after 10,000 years. Stations so large they had their own gravity. Ships that made Earth's moon look small. The precursors had built all of this. Then they vanished. Now humanity was here to find out why. Scan complete, Commander Wells reported. Admiral, the readings are incredible. These factories are still operational. The power cores are still active. It's like the precursors just left yesterday. But they didn't, Torres said quietly. They've been gone for 10 millennia. The question is, where did they go? She turned from the window. Send exploration teams to the nearest station. Science teams only. No weapons. If there's something alive in there, I don't want to start a fight. Yes, Admiral. Wells hesitated. Do you really think something's still alive after all this time? Torres looked back at the massive structures. Something is keeping the power running. Something maintained these systems for 10,000 years. Whether it's alive or not, we're about to find out. 2 hours later, the exploration team entered the nearest precursor station. Dr. Sarah Kim led the team. She was humanity's best xenoarchaeologist. She'd spent her whole life studying dead civilizations, but she'd never seen anything like this. The station's entrance opened automatically as they approached, like it was waiting for them. That's not creepy at all, muttered Lieutenant Drake, the team's security officer. Inside, the lights activated. Soft blue light filled the corridor. The walls were smooth, seamless metal. No rust. No decay. Perfect. These readings don't make sense, Dr. Kim said, checking her scanner. The air is breathable. Temperature is optimal. This station has been maintaining life support for 10,000 years with no crew. For who? Drake asked. Who were they keeping it ready for? Dr. Kim didn't answer. She was too focused on what lay ahead. The corridor opened into a massive chamber, and in the center, floating in midair, was a sphere of light. It pulsed gently. Like breathing. Is that alive? Drake whispered, raising his weapon slightly. Lower your gun, Dr. Kim ordered. Look at your scanner. It's not organic. It's artificial intelligence. The sphere pulsed brighter. Then it spoke. The voice came from everywhere at once. It sounded ancient, tired, but still powerful. Visitors, it said. The first in 10,000 cycles. Dr. Kim's hands shook as she activated her recorder. This is First Contact Team Alpha. We are receiving communication from a precursor AI. The AI appears to be functional and aware. Who are you? She asked the sphere. I am Keeper, the AI responded. I maintain, I preserve, I wait. Wait for what? For those who are ready. The sphere descended slowly until it hovered at eye level with Dr. Kim. It seemed to study her. Study all of them. You are not precursors, it observed. No, Dr. Kim admitted. We're humans. We came from... I know what you are, Keeper interrupted. I have scanned your vessels, your technology, your biology. You are young, curious, imperfect. Drake tensed at that last word. But Dr. Kim held up a hand to calm him. "Why are you here?" she asked. "Why did the precursors leave?" The sphere pulsed sadly. "They did not leave. They ascended." "Ascended? To where?" "Beyond," Keeper said simply. "Beyond physical form, beyond this dimension. They evolved past the need for ships and stations and weapons." Dr. Kim felt her mind racing. "They became, what, pure energy?" "Higher beings. Something like that," Keeper agreed. "But before they left, they gave me a purpose. To wait, to test, to find the next species ready to inherit their legacy." "You've been waiting 10,000 years, Dr. Kim said. "For us?" "For someone," Keeper corrected. "I have tested many species, all failed." "How many?" 17. That number hit Dr. Kim like a punch. 17, the same number of species the Council had exiled. "The Council sent them here," she whispered. "The exiled species? They all came here looking for precursor technology." "Yes," Keeper confirmed. "And all failed the tests. Some were too aggressive, some too fearful, some too proud. None were ready." "What happened to them?" Drake asked nervously. "They left. Or they died. The choice was theirs." Dr. Kim swallowed hard. "And us? Are we being tested now?" "Yes," Keeper said. "The test began the moment you entered forbidden space. The test continues now." The sphere rose higher. The entire chamber began to glow. "I have observed your species," Keeper announced. "I have analyzed your history, your wars, your peace, your failures, your triumphs." Images appeared on the walls. Humanity's history, cave paintings, ancient pyramids, medieval castles, industrial cities, nuclear explosions, space stations, everything. "You are violent," Keeper observed. "You fight, you destroy." "Yes," Dr. Kim admitted. There was no point lying to an AI that had studied them. "But," Keeper continued, "you also create, you build, you question, you never stop learning. More images, libraries, universities, hospitals, art museums, scientists working late into the night." "You are curious," Keeper said. "Dangerously curious. The Council feared this about you. They exiled you for it." "Being curious is dangerous?" Dr. Kim asked. "To those who fear change, yes," Keeper replied. "The Council species stopped evolving long ago. They preserve, they maintain, they never grow. They are afraid." The sphere descended again, hovering close to Dr. Kim. "But you are not afraid. You were exiled. Yet you came here, to the place that terrifies the Council. You seek knowledge even when it is forbidden. This is why you interest me." "So we passed the test?" Drake asked hopefully. "No," Keeper said. "The test has only begun." The chamber changed. The floor disappeared. Suddenly the team was floating in a virtual space, surrounded by puzzles, mathematical equations, engineering problems, philosophical questions. "Solve these," Keeper commanded. "Prove your species is ready to inherit precursor knowledge." Dr. Kim looked at the problems floating around them. They were complex, incredibly complex. Some she recognized. Quantum physics, dimensional mathematics. Others were completely alien. "How long do we have?" she asked. "As long as it takes," Keeper responded. "The precursors spent centuries learning. I expect no less from you." Back on the flagship, Admiral Torres received Dr. Kim's report. "An AI is testing us," she said to Wells. "Testing our intelligence." "Our worthiness, can we pass?" Wells asked. Torres thought about that. "Dr. Kim is brilliant. Our scientists are the best humanity has. But precursor knowledge, that's tens of thousands of years more advanced than us. So what do we do?" Torres smiled. "What humanity always does. We work together. We don't give up, and we prove that we deserve to be here." She activated fleet-wide communication. "Attention all vessels. We've made contact with a precursor AI. It's testing us, testing our worthiness to use their technology. I'm sending all science teams to the station. Engineers, mathematicians, physicists, philosophers, everyone. We're going to solve every puzzle that AI throws at us, because we're not just doing this for ourselves. We're doing this for every species the Council ever exiled. Every civilization they crushed for being too curious. We're going to prove that curiosity isn't dangerous. It's humanity's greatest strength. 3,000 ships received the message. And from those ships, thousands of humans volunteered, the best minds humanity had. They entered the precursor station together. Keeper watched them come. Thousands of humans, all working together, sharing ideas, arguing, debating, solving problems as a team. The other species had come in small groups, fearful, secretive, each one trying to claim the knowledge for themselves. But humans were different. They shared everything. They helped each other. When one person solved a puzzle, they taught others how they did it. Fascinating, Keeper observed. You compete, but you also cooperate. You are individuals, but you think as a collective. Dr. Kim looked up from a particularly difficult equation. That's how we survived, Keeper. Alone, we're weak. Together, we're unstoppable. Days passed. Then weeks. The humans worked without stopping. They slept in the station, ate there, lived there, and slowly, puzzle by puzzle, they solved Keeper's tests. The mathematical problems fell first. Then the engineering challenges. The philosophical questions took longer. But eventually, those fell too. Keeper watched in something like amazement. 17. Species before you, it said. None made it this far. Most gave up after days. One lasted 3 months before admitting defeat. How long have we been at this? Dr. Kim asked. 4 months, Keeper replied. Dr. Kim laughed tiredly. Then we're just getting started. Finally, after 5 months, Dr. Kim stood before the last puzzle. It wasn't a math problem. It wasn't an engineering challenge. It was a simple question floating in the air. Why do you seek this knowledge? Dr. Kim thought carefully. She knew this was the real test. The final test. Not for power, she said slowly. Not to dominate others. Not to destroy our enemies. Then why? Because it's there, Dr. Kim said simply. Because we don't know. Because learning is what makes us human. We climb mountains because they exist. We explore space because it's vast and unknown. We seek knowledge because not knowing, that's what scares us most. Keeper was silent for a long moment, then it pulsed brighter than ever before. Correct, it said. The virtual space disappeared. Dr. Kim and her team stood back in the chamber, but everything had changed. The walls were covered in data. Millions of files, blueprints, formulas, secrets. You have passed, Keeper announced. You are the first species in 10,000 cycles to prove worthy. The precursor legacy is now yours. Dr. Kim felt tears on her face. All of it? All of it, Keeper confirmed. The weapons, the ships, the factories, the knowledge, everything the precursors left behind. But why us? Dr. Kim asked. What makes humans worthy? Keeper's light pulsed warmly. Because you asked why. The other species demanded knowledge as a right. You asked for it as a gift. You sought to learn, not to possess. The precursors would have liked you. On the flagship, Admiral Torres received the message from Dr. Kim. They had passed. The legacy was theirs. Torres looked out at the factories. The ships, the stations, all of it now belonged to humanity. Commander Wells, she said quietly. Begin activation of the precursor facilities. It's time to build. Build what, Admiral? Torres' smile was fierce and proud. Everything. We're going to build ships that make stars tremble, weapons that rewrite physics, shields that nothing can penetrate. And then? Wells asked. And then we go home, Torres said. Back to Council space, not as exiles, as equals. And we're going to make sure no species ever gets exiled again. In the chamber, Keeper pulsed one final time. Go, it told Dr. Kim. Take the knowledge. Use it wisely. Become what the precursors believed you could be. What's that? Dr. Kim asked. The next Guardians of the Galaxy. The return 6 months later. Council space was quiet, peaceful. The humans were gone, exiled and forgotten. The Council had returned to their normal routine. Trade, diplomacy, endless debates about nothing important. Arch-Councillor Vac sat in his throne, reviewing reports. Boring reports. Economic forecasts, resource distribution. Everything was stable, predictable, exactly how the Council liked it. Then every alarm in the chamber started screaming. What's happening? Vax demanded, jumping to his feet. Counselor Thrin's crystals flashed red with panic. Unknown contacts. Massive energy signatures appearing at the border of Council space. How many? Vax asked. Hundreds. No, thousands. They're still appearing. Vax's scales went cold. Show me. The main display activated. It showed the edge of Council territory. And emerging from hyperspace, one after another, were ships. Human ships. But they didn't look like the vessels that had left 6 months ago. These were different, bigger, more advanced. Their hulls gleamed with strange metal that seemed to shift colors. Energy crackled around them like living lightning. By the ancients, Morgoth whispered. What did they do? Sound the defense alert, Vax ordered. Mobilize all Council fleets. Send them to intercept. Already done, sir, Thren reported. Fleet Admiral Corvin is en route with 400 warships. 400 against thousands, Mireth observed. The math is not favorable. They won't attack, Vax said, trying to sound confident. They're just posturing, trying to scare us. It's working, Morgoth muttered. In space, Admiral Torres stood on the bridge of her new flagship. She'd named it Defiance. It was built entirely from precursor technology, 1 mile long, equipped with weapons that could tear apart planets, and it was just one ship in a fleet of 3,000. Council fleet approaching, Wells reported. 400 vessels. They're taking defensive formation. Open a channel, Torres ordered. Channel open, Admiral. Torres spoke clearly. This is Admiral Sarah Torres of the Human Defense Fleet. We are not here to attack. We are here to talk. The response came from Fleet Admiral Corvin. His species looked like armored insects. His voice was sharp and aggressive. You have entered Council space without authorization. This is an act of war. Turn back immediately or we will open fire. Torres smiled. Fire if you must, Admiral. But I should warn you, your weapons won't work on our ships. You're bluffing, Corvin said. Am I? Torres asked. Your fleet is using Mark 7 plasma cannons, correct? Maximum effective range of 200,000 kilometers. Damage output of approximately 40 terawatts per shot. Corvin went silent. She knew his weapons better than he did. Torres continued. Our shields can absorb 500 terawatts continuously. You could shoot us for a year and never scratch the paint. Impossible, Corvin said. But he sounded uncertain. Test it, Torres invited. Pick your best ship, your strongest weapon. Fire one shot, just one. If it damages us, we'll leave peacefully. There was a long pause. Torres could imagine the frantic discussions happening on Corvin's command ship. Should they shoot? Was it a trap? Finally, Corvin responded. Very well, one shot. If our weapons work, you leave immediately. Agreed, Torres said. She cut the connection and turned to Wells. This should be interesting. Are you sure about this? Wells asked nervously. Completely, Torres said. Keeper tested these shields personally. They held against precursor weapons. Council technology is 10,000 years behind that. In the Council fleet, Corvin selected his most powerful dreadnought. The ship's main cannon charged, a weapon designed to destroy enemy capitals with a single shot. On the Council monitoring stations, thousands of officials watched. In the Council chamber, Vax leaned forward in his throne. Corvin gave the order. Fire! The dreadnought's cannon fired. A beam of pure plasma screamed through space, bright enough to blind sensors, hot enough to vaporize asteroids. It hit the Defiance directly and vanished. The human ship didn't even shake. The shields glowed bright blue for half a second, then returned to normal. No damage, not even a scratch. Impossible, Corvin whispered. On the Defiance, Torres didn't even blink. Thank you for the demonstration, Admiral. Now, as I said, we're here to talk. Please inform the Council we're coming to the chamber. You can't just... Corvin began. We just did, Torres interrupted. We'll be there in 1 hour. Torres out. She cut the connection. Set course for the Council homeworld, she ordered. Standard approach. No weapons charged. We're not here to fight. The entire Council fleet is between us and the homeworld, Wells pointed out. Torres smiled. Then they can escort us. The human fleet moved forward, slowly, peacefully, but unstoppable. Corvin's fleet tried to block them. Ships positioned themselves in the path, weapons aimed, ready to fire. The human fleet didn't slow down. Admiral Torres, Corvin transmitted desperately. You must stop. We will open fire, if you must, Torres said calmly. But ask yourself, Admiral, if one shot from your best weapon didn't work, what will 400 ships accomplish, besides wasting ammunition? Corvin had no answer. The human fleet passed through the Council formation like ghosts. The Council ships moved aside. What else could they do? 1 hour later, the human fleet arrived at the Council homeworld. 3,000 ships, surrounding the planet, not threatening, just present. In the Council chamber, Vax watched the display with growing horror. The human ships hung in orbit like a crown of steel around his world. They're not attacking, Thren observed, her crystals pulsing with confusion. No, Vax said quietly. They're making a point. They could attack. They could destroy us. But they're choosing not to. What do they want? Myrith asked. The answer came immediately. A communication request from Admiral Torres. Put her on screen, Vax ordered. Torres appeared. She stood on her bridge, calm and confident. Behind her, the crew worked efficiently. Professional. Arch-Counselor Vax, she said, nodding slightly. It's been 6 months. Did you miss us? What is the meaning of this invasion? Vax demanded. Invasion? Torres looked surprised. We're not invading. We're visiting. You exiled us from Council space. You never said we couldn't come back to visit. Your fleet is an act of aggression. Our fleet is parked peacefully in orbit, Torres corrected. We haven't fired a single shot. We haven't threatened anyone. We're just here to talk. Vax's claws gripped his throne. Talk about what? About the future, Torres said. About the rules. About who gets to decide which species belongs in this galaxy and which don't. She stepped closer to the camera. You exiled us for being too curious, too innovative, too dangerous. But we weren't the first, were we? 17 species before us, all exiled or destroyed for the same reasons. They violated our laws, Vax said defensively. Your laws, Torres repeated. Not their laws, not universal laws, your laws, made by species who stopped evolving thousands of years ago. Species who fear change, who fear progress. We maintain order, Thren protested. Without the Council, there would be chaos. Without the Council, there would be freedom, Torres shot back. Freedom to explore, to innovate, to become something better. She gestured to the display showing her fleet. You exiled us. You thought we'd disappear, become weak, fade into nothing. Instead, we went to the Forbidden Zone. We found the Precursor's legacy, and we proved ourselves worthy of it. The Council members went very still. You went to the Forbidden Zone, Vax said slowly. That is forbidden. To Council members, Torres agreed. But we're not Council members anymore. Remember, you exiled us, she smiled. You can't have it both ways, Vax. Either we're part of the Council and bound by your rules, or we're exiled and free to do whatever we want. You chose exile, so we chose freedom. What do you want? Morgoth asked, his shadow form flickering nervously. Torres's expression became serious. We want the exile system ended forever. No more exiling species for being curious. No more destroying civilizations for asking questions. No more punishing innovation. Impossible, Vax said. The exile system maintains galactic stability. It maintains your power, Torres corrected. It keeps species weak and dependent. It prevents anyone from challenging the Council's authority. She leaned forward. But here's the truth, Arch-Counselor. Your authority is already challenged. We have precursor technology now. We have weapons you can't defend against, shields you can't penetrate, ships you can't match. Are you threatening us? Vax asked, his voice shaking slightly. No, Torres said firmly. We're not. And that's the point. We could threaten you. We could demand. We could conquer. But we're not going to. Because unlike you, we don't believe in ruling through fear. She stood straight. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to call an emergency council session. You're going to vote to end the exile system. You're going to pardon all 17 exiled species and invite them back to council space if they want to return. And if we refuse? Vax asked. Torres's smile was cold. Then we park our fleet right here, permanently, guarding your homeworld, making sure you never exile another species again. We become the galaxy's insurance policy, the force that says no when the council says yes. You can't just, we can, Torres interrupted, and we will. You taught us this lesson, Vax. You taught us that power makes the rules. Well, now we have the power, and we're making new rules. The council chamber was silent. Finally, Councillor Thren spoke. "You said you're not here for revenge. But this sounds like revenge." "No," Torres said softly. "Revenge would be doing to you what you did to us. Exile, punishment, destruction. We're not doing that. We're giving you a choice. Adapt or become irrelevant." She gestured to her fleet again. "The galaxy is changing. Technology is advancing. The old ways don't work anymore. You can either accept that and grow with us, or you can cling to the past and watch the future leave you behind. Just like the precursors left you behind 10,000 years ago," she added. That hit hard. Every council member knew the truth. The precursors had been so far beyond them, had evolved past them, had transcended while the council stayed the same. "What guarantee do we have?" Vax asked quietly. "That you won't use your power against us?" Torres thought about that. "You don't. Just like the 17 species you exiled had no guarantee you wouldn't destroy them. Just like we had no guarantee when we were exiled. Trust goes both ways, Arch-Counselor." She softened slightly. "But I'll make you a promise. As long as the Council stops exiling species, as long as you allow freedom of exploration and innovation, we won't interfere with Council business. We'll protect the exiled. We'll guard against tyranny. But we won't conquer. We won't rule. We just want to make sure everyone gets the same chance we did. The chance to be curious, to explore, to become something greater." Vax looked around the chamber. At the other council members, he saw fear in their eyes, but also something else. Understanding, maybe even respect. "We need time to discuss this," he said finally. "You have 1 hour," Torres said. "Then we need an answer." The communication ended. In the council chamber, the members looked at each other. "We have no choice," Morgath said. "Their technology is too advanced. Their fleet is too powerful." "We always have a choice," Vax said. But he sounded tired. "What choice?" Thren demanded. "Fight them and lose? Refuse them and watch them become permanent overseers? Or accept their terms?" Mireth said quietly. "End the exile system. Allow innovation. Let the galaxy change." "That's what terrifies you, isn't it?" Morgath observed. "Change. The precursors changed and transcended. Humanity changed and became powerful. You're afraid that if we change, we'll become obsolete." Vax closed his eyes. "Yes," he admitted. "I'm afraid. We've maintained order for 10,000 years. These rules kept the galaxy stable, safe." "Stable," Thren repeated. "Or stagnant." Silence. Finally, Vax opened his eyes. "Call the vote. End the exile system. Pardon the 17 species. Open the forbidden zone to exploration." "Are you certain?" Mireth asked. "No," Vax said honestly. "But Admiral Torres is right. The galaxy is changing whether we like it or not. We can adapt or we can die." He stood from his throne. "I choose to adapt." The vote was unanimous. 1 hour later, Vax transmitted the results to Admiral Torres. "The Council has voted," he said. "The exile system is ended. All 17 species are pardoned. The Forbidden Zone is open to authorized exploration." Torres nodded. "A wise choice, Arch-Counselor. Don't mistake this for weakness," Vax warned. "We're doing this because it's right. Not because you forced us," Torres smiled. "I know. That's why I respect you," she gestured to her fleet. "We'll be leaving now, but we're not going far. We're establishing a territory in the former Forbidden Zone. We'll call it the Free Zone. Any species that wants to explore, innovate, or just live without council restrictions is welcome." "You're creating a rival government," Vax observed. "No," Torres said. "We're creating an alternative. Competition makes everyone better, Vax. You taught us that when you forced us to evolve." She saluted. "Thank you for the exile, Arch-Counselor. It was the best thing that ever happened to humanity." The human fleet began to move. 3,000 ships turning gracefully in orbit. Not leaving in defeat, leaving in victory. But as they departed, Torres opened one final channel. A private message to the 17 exiled species scattered across the galaxy. "This is Admiral Torres of humanity. You don't know us, but we know you. We know what the Council did to you. We know the pain of exile. I'm sending you coordinates to a place we call the Free Zone, where exile doesn't exist, where curiosity is celebrated, where you can be what you were meant to be. Come home. Not to the Council. To something better. To freedom." She cut the transmission. On the Defiance Bridge, Wells looked at her. Think they'll come? Some will, Torres said. Maybe all of them. And together, we'll build something the galaxy has never seen. What's that? Wells asked. Torres looked out at the stars, at the vast galaxy full of possibilities. A future, she said simply, where no one gets exiled for asking why. The human fleet jumped to hyperspace, leaving council space behind, not as exiles, as liberators. In the council chamber, Vax watched them go. He should have felt defeated, humiliated. Instead, he felt something unexpected. Hope. Maybe they're right, he said quietly. Maybe it's time for the galaxy to change. Thren's crystals pulsed softly. Are you saying humans were right all along? Vax smiled slightly. I'm saying they gave us a choice. And we chose to grow. That's more than we gave them. He looked at the empty space where the human fleet had been. They voted to exile Earth, he said. Humanity didn't wait to be told twice. They left. They evolved. They returned. And they changed everything. Far away in the free zone, Admiral Torres stood before Keeper. We kept our promise, she told the AI. We used your knowledge wisely. We didn't conquer. We liberated, Keeper pulsed warmly. The precursors would be proud. You have become what they hoped for. Guardians, protectors, teachers. What happens now? Torres asked. Now, Keeper said, you continue to grow, to learn, to explore. And one day when you are ready, you will ascend as the precursors did. And you? Torres asked. What will you do? Keeper's light flickered gently. I will continue to wait, to test, to find the next worthy species, because the galaxy needs guardians, and now, thanks to you, it has them. Torres smiled. We won't let you down, I know, Keeper said simply. That is why you passed the test. Torres left the ancient station and returned to her ship. Around her, the free zone was already growing. Human factories building new stations, ships arriving from the exiled species, scientists working together, learning together, building together. The Council had voted to exile Earth. Humanity hadn't waited to be told twice. They left. They learned, they grew, and they came back, not as victims, as heroes. The end.